So welcome everyone to this week's episode of Social Chatter. Get my mic over here actually closer. So my name is Christian Karasevich, and I'm the founder of Social Chefs. And I've got my buddy, Mr. Vincent Orlick over here, my partner in crime. This is the 22nd episode I think we're doing of Blab, right?
I guess. You got the count?
I think we're at 22 now, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to actually drop some links into the sidebar. By the way, is your sidebar showing up? I'm actually not seeing the sidebar.
Yeah, the comments over here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I have it. You don't have it at all, huh?
I don't have it.
What link do you want me to put in there?
I was actually going to put some Twitter links in there actually to start with. So basically put in, the Social Chefs one, put in my Twitter link, put in your Twitter, your username as well, so that people can, they have questions or anything they want to get in touch with us or send us tweets, feel free to. And also don't forget the hashtag social chatter. By the way, I'm going to refresh real quick. I'll make you a host or make sure you're the host, but I'm going to refresh real quick and be right back.
Okay.
So let's see.
I will hold down the fort.
You are the host, right?
I'm going to put these. I am a guest right now. Usually that little thing comes up asking me if I want to accept it, I think. I'll throw these in there. Robin, thanks for joining in.
I'm just going to open another window. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I know this week it's been a little buggy for some people. Walter, thank you for popping in. I already follow you. Anybody that comes in here, I always follow our people that come in the show. So you follow me, I follow you already, Walter. So thanks for joining us. My co-host is just refreshing and getting things ready. So thanks everyone for joining in. Usually we do this every Friday, and thank you. Oh yeah, and share it out, please. You guys that are in here, if you could tell Little Bird, that would be awesome. Scott, thanks for popping in. I don't think I follow you yet, but you're a Red Sox fan. Yes. Oh, I like Scott already. Scott's a Red Sox fan. He's in Utah, but he's a Red Sox fan. I don't know how that happens. But maybe you're not in Utah. I don't know.
So can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Awesome. Very awesome.
Give you some props.
Thanks a lot for putting those links in there, by the way. So just a quick recap, everyone. My name is Christian Karasevich. Got my partner here, Mr. Vincent Orlick. We are about to talk about this week's social media news, and we've got a lot of great topics. This is your first time joining our show. Basically, what we do is we try to bring you 3 to 5 of the most popular things in social media from the past week, and also share 3, maybe 5 tools. Typically try to keep it to 3 that we think can really help you in your business, whether they are social media tools or they may just be productivity tools. So with that, I'm gonna kick things off. So, and by the way, if you have any questions or anything, you're welcome to put any of this stuff in the chat window. You can also do /Q. That'll put it as a question, and we'll take some time during the show to answer them. There will also be a recap, by the way, at the end as well, in case you want to go back and read things or links and whatnot. Okay, so topic number 1 that we have for the week, and this is probably this actually happened. I think it was it the beginning of the week, Vincent?
Yeah, when they announced it, they put it on their blog. We talked about it last week about that it was coming, and then they officially started releasing it to everybody on Monday. Yeah, and I got it Monday or Tuesday afternoon, I think.
Yeah, and it was really weird because we talked about it, and it used to be available just for Android users, and then all of a sudden, I think Thursday or Friday of last week, it was like, hey, they're testing this for iOS, which was awesome, and then now. This immediately became available on Monday. And what we're talking about here is Instagram multiple accounts switching. And so I'm giving you guys a link basically to show you how it works. There are a few caveats to this. It's pretty cool. Basically, what you can do now is instead of having to use a third-party tool to post to multiple Instagram accounts, you can open Instagram, connect up to 5 accounts, and then you'll be able to switch between those accounts from one profile. Pretty neat, pretty simple. Actually, it's really simple. I think the hardest part is actually finding how to go about adding your accounts. because, as Vincent mentioned, he had it on his account. I, for instance, didn't have it on mine, even though I was running the latest version of Instagram. So pretty straightforward, but I'm actually really excited that Instagram is moving along and putting out, some really great features. What do you think about this, by the way? Do you think it's a useful feature?
It is for me. I mean, I have, I manage a brand on my personal account. So that's 2 accounts right there that I had to continuously log in and out of. And as a result, and I think this is pretty common for a lot of people that are in the marketing world anyway, having to log in and out of different accounts. My personal account meant that my personal account got less activity. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just what ended up happening. And I have a couple other accounts for some different groups, the Social Media Club here in Phoenix and Social Media Day. Like, I help manage those, and this is just makes it so much easier for my job, right, our job specifically when you have multiple accounts. That being said, the personal usage, will it drive more personal accounts to be created or different types of accounts? I mean, I don't know what their ultimate reasoning was for doing it, mm-hmm. why they decided now was a good time to do it, if they felt like this would grow the platform. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you think it'll grow the platform in a good way or a bad way, or neutral?
It's actually kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of something that I heard about earlier this week, and people were asking the question. Actually, it was an article. I think it was yesterday. I forgot when it was, but it was basically an article that was talking about how millennial. Actually, it was a millennial article. It was talking about how millennials and whatnot are creating multiple accounts. So, for example, you may remember the article. You have people that were talking about how they have an account that is, for instance, like on Instagram. I think everybody's now getting to the point where they have like a professional account in a way, and then they have like a test account where they can post whatever they want, whether it's fun stuff and whatnot. And then they get that perfect snap, and then they put that up on Instagram. So I'm very interested to see if you'll see more of the personal use gravitating towards, the multiple account usage, having both of their accounts connected. Personally, I don't ever advise any of my clients to have multiple accounts. This is a question I've gotten for so long, and it doesn't matter what social network you're on. You really don't need multiple accounts. I mean, if you're on Twitter, for instance, business and personal, mix it up. If you are on Instagram and you have, in this case, I have a personal one and I have a business one, one for myself and one for Social Chefs. I think that, you need 2 different ones there because, it's a way to distinguish the two. But if you are your brand and all you're posting about is yourself and your personal stuff, mix it up. I think that, the bigger question for me is really, you can only have 5 accounts on one profile. And, I don't, right now I don't have 5 accounts on one account, one profile, but I know in your case, you might have that. You might run into that.
I have exactly 5. Including my personal.
I guess in a way it consolidates the fact that you need multiple accounts. Now you can have like 2 accounts and you could have up to 10 Instagram accounts or something, right? I think it does make it a little bit easier, I guess, but I think
go ahead. It definitely makes it easier. I mean, I can tell you just personally, I will be posting more, and it makes it. The reason why I think Twitter is the #1 mobile app out of the social media platforms is because of how easy it is to use and toggle between accounts. That's a huge part of it. So this has that element to it where you can, when you're toggling between the different accounts, I heard people talking about, well, this is going to increase errors on people's parts, companies, or I'm curious to see how many errors happen as a result. If you're paying attention to what you're doing, I mean, I get, things are going to happen, but in general, it tells you before you post. It even confirm at the bottom when you go to post, it's like you are posting from this account. It tells you, so it reconfirms that for you. You have to just really not be paying attention or just trying to get something out super fast that you're going to mess up in that way. But in general, it's going to be super helpful for brand managers or agencies that can now give the accounts to one person to manage a few different ones for different companies. And so I'm just glad it happened personally and selfishly.
And here's the thing. I think it is going to be a good thing as far as one. Well, sorry, let me take one step back. One, I don't really see how people can, make the mistake of accidentally posting to one account versus another. I think that is going to be very interesting. I know there's a lot of people that have, I want to say ghost writers, but people that are, managing social media channels for, personalities and whatnot. And that is something that, I've been in that role before. I mean, it's something that you have to be really careful with when you do connect your accounts. So, but again, it goes back to like what you said. I mean, it's not hard. Just pay attention to what you're doing. I think overall, this is actually going to I think it'll help grow their user base. I think it'll be, you're still going to have all of your accounts, and whatnot. I think in a way you may see what I think you're going to probably see is I think you're going to see account shrinkage. So you're going to see all of the, fake Instagram accounts that people created. What?
Shrinkage.
You know what I mean? So I think you're going to see that, but then you're going to see, an increase, I think, because you're going to have people that are going to probably stop using some of those fake accounts they were using to, and whatnot. And in this case, they're going to then probably move to having, just using their one profile with multiple accounts. So that's what
we'll see. Because the teenage and millennial population, they do have what they call the Finsta, fake Instagram accounts, the Finstas. And I don't know that, I think it makes it easier for them. And in a way, you could almost say that they had them in mind with this change too. That people do have multiple accounts because they have a secret account that no one knows is them and that they can use to kind of spy on whoever they want and follow accounts that they wouldn't follow otherwise from their personal or from a business account.
Yep.
So it might have been even to address that partly too. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what the growth will be. If there'll be growth, number of accounts, I'm sure will increase. That's almost a given that'll increase, but the usage of those accounts will be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be really I think it'll be fascinating. So with that, if anybody has any more questions on this, feel free to put them in the chat here, or type /Q and we'll answer them. I'm going to move on to the second topic, and actually it doesn't really change much. We're still talking about Instagram. This one's actually a pretty fascinating one. This is actually something actually just came out today. Instagram is now giving you a way to see view counts on videos. And I personally, I think this is a good feature that they're adding. I was actually talking with, a couple of other Instagram professionals. I guess if that's even the right way to phrase it, Instagram professionals, and some of them were actually questioning the value of why you needed video counts. But I would have to say, basically what it is you can put a video up on Instagram. You'll be able to see who all has viewed it, and you will be able to see how many people have viewed it. So from a business standpoint, I think that's going to be a really good feature, because it's gonna, I think anyone who's using Instagram, it's going to give me the ability to see who is actually, one, or my video is getting seen. So that's the number. And then two, I'm going to be able to look through all the people that have actually viewed it, and then potentially follow them or identify, opportunities for me as a business to be able to partner with that person. What are your thoughts on this, by the way?
Well, it makes sense because it's Facebook that owns Instagram, and they're going to a Facebook style video count for analytics. It makes sense that they're doing that. I don't see that I have it yet. I haven't seen it. Or is it going to be retroactive? So the videos that I have already will start to count the views, or is it only on videos going forward?
That is a really good question.
Maybe that's why I don't see it, because I don't know how it would be, or what I guess what value it would have if it was retroactive, because it's only going to count from now back or ahead. So you don't really get a true a true stat on how many views you have of a video. So, so I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna do. Let's try a little experiment. Let's do it right now. I'm gonna do a little Instagram video.
Test.
Yeah, do an Instagram video of this blab,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll see what happens. So I got Christian and me, and then all the cool folks on the side, and then I'll post this up on my Instagram. And if you guys want to see it, it's just my name at Vincent Orlick, just like it is up here. And I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm gonna do testing out the new video count here on the gram, which is, you know, if you're a cool kid, you just call it the gram. You just call it the gram.
So let us know when you get that posted. I'm gonna actually test it.
Done. Posted. And see, look, it even says share as Vincent Orlick on the bottom.
That's actually
Confirming
that's very good.
that's the account that I want to share from.
Okay. Let's
post it.
There we go.
Do an Instagram video of this blab. Let's see. Oh, this is so meta. So meta. All the cool folks on the side. And then so let's see it in action. Video of this.
Okay, so I have actually viewed this.
And it does only record a view if it's at least 3 seconds.
Okay.
From what that article said. So
I mean, honestly,
see where it pops up. I mean, I'll be able to see it. Obviously, you guys won't be able to see it. But
well, if it does show up during the show, you know, just feel free to let us know.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna show it to you guys.
But yeah, so that's topic number 2 for the week. And you know, like I said, I think this is actually going to be very. I think it's a good feature because it's going to help you. You know, if their goal is to build the Instagram user base, I think partly it's going to go back to what you said earlier. It's going to cater to people that are uploading, for instance, to their if they're very specific about what they put out. It's going to give them the opportunity to see what actually worked and make some adjustments. I also think this also could be really useful because you have a lot of businesses that pay users on Instagram just to post a single photo or a video or whatnot. And I think this is going to give them some additional metrics to be able to, verify, the validity of that user. Are they able to get a lot of people to view their content, and whatnot. So I think that's going to be really good. And if you're a brand, I mean, it's going to be awesome because you're going to be able to also then identify the people that viewed your video and go follow them. That's actually evidenced in the article. Actually, so there's if you watch the video that's there, you'll see it all. So that's topic 2.
Yep.
By the way, everybody who's watching, I mean, what are your thoughts on a couple of topics we talked about so far? Instagram. Do you think these are really good updates to Instagram? And what do you think they should actually do next? Either leave a question here or send us a tweet with #socialchat.
Yeah, put up any predictions or things you'd like to see them do features wise. Like this was the big one for everybody. That if you asked anyone, they wanted to be able to toggle between different accounts. That was like the top thing. So now, what is the next top thing? The other thing that they had already done too was the resizing of the images and videos that you could post. So you could do a landscape and still fit it in the square. They did that several months back.
By the way,
so they're
on that. Actually, I believe it was this week. They updated the ability to post vertical and horizontal videos. So that's also something that's fairly new.
Lists.
Okay.
Lists that Chef did. And Chef, another recent update that they did that we talked about last week and the week before was how you can now see if you go into a search, it'll show you people that it'll give you like suggested people to follow in your searching. So they're starting to address that too. Zooming photos.
Zooming photos. So can you explain that one actually? I think I know what you mean, but I want to, make sure it's clear for the audience.
And I don't see anything yet, by the way, on the views on a video. There's no. pinch to zoom.
Okay, yeah. So
you mean when you're taking the picture? When you're taking a picture, is that what you mean?
actually, I'm guessing they probably mean to be able to expand into an image.
Well, because you can do that when you're uploading a photo. When you're taking a photo, you can't zoom in and out. Yeah, so you're talking about when you're taking a picture, because when you upload, you can make it as big or small as you want, whatever. For the most part, platform analytics for Instagram. Wouldn't a simple GA download do the same thing? A GA download for Instagram. I don't know. What do you? I mean, you're more into Google than I am in terms of the analytics, Christian. You're expert on that type of stuff. With Instagram video, can you run something through Google Analytics that would tell you how many times a video has been watched on Instagram?
That would actually be really awesome.
Does that sound?
Do that.
So that's a good suggestion. That's a great suggestion.
Put a link.
While browsing. Oh. While browsing other images, you want to be able to zoom in on the images? Gotcha.
I have to say,
I don't know.
It would be really awesome, I think, with Instagram to be able to click into an item and to not have to like move forward and go back so quickly, like to have some easier ways to get through some things. So,
yeah, I don't know that if they're gonna. I don't know if that one's high on their priority list, to be honest. The other functionality that they're probably looking at is, I don't know, it's probably more important in their mind anyway. And the GIFs, I don't know if the GIFs are coming either. They've kept that Instagram. They've kept very much, photography and visual. They want it to be visually pleasing, and I think they would see GIFs as almost like a sellout in a way, and not with the brand. They don't. I personally, I think that's how they would view it. Now, it could be totally off, and they could come out with GIFs tomorrow. But I don't know. Look how long even Twitter is just now. We're going to get into that in a second. But with GIFs on Twitter, I mean, that was only because of Peach. So that's because I will go to my grave saying that it's because Peach came out with the GIF ability, native button, and Twitter was like, oh, well, we should do that. But anyway, we'll get into that.
So with that, and we'll come back to the questions and whatnot. So with that, I'm going to move into topic number 3. And this one actually, I don't have a link to an article, but you can go over to my Social Chefs Facebook group. You can request access. But basically, the update is this. If I'm running a Facebook group, previously I could only tag profiles. But now when I go to post an update, I can tag a profile and a page in an update, and the person will get notified. And then when they come back to the Facebook group, they will be able to, it will bring up the option to be able to toggle between commenting as a profile and a page in a group. Now, I'm wondering if this is actually more like a remnant of some additional code that kind of might have been left in. But it is, it's nice to see that there are potentially, there's going to potentially be a group or Facebook page integration within Facebook groups. So, Vincent, I don't know if you have this. What?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I don't know, man. That
it's
because I think the appeal for groups, that why they've grown so much too, is because it is away from it's away from your feed. It's away from having to see businesses run ads to you and see all the stuff that you follow, but you don't really want to pay attention to, and you can focus. And if groups, I don't know, if you start bringing businesses being able to be tagged into groups, and then they can see and participate, like that kind of ruins the groups, I think. Unless there's a setting that you can do as the group admin that
it would actually be really cool if you just had a basic toggle that said, I want to allow people to comment as a profile, or I want to be able to allow them to comment as a profile or a page or just a page or something. I get so many questions all the time from people wanting to know about, hey, you know what, I've got a group and I want to interact as my page. They basically want to hide behind their brand, which is kind of interesting. And
Well, but do other group members want that? Like, do I want to be in a group where the business page is interacting with me? Like, I don't know if I want to interact with the business page. When I just go to the business page, it's definitely an advantage for the business more than the user.
And and the interesting thing the interesting part I think about all of this is that if I am running the Facebook group myself, yeah, sure, I'd love to interact as my business and maybe have the option to be able to, to almost designate some additional team support to where it could be hey, Christian and Vincent are part of this particular, business, and they're there as helpers and whatnot, to be able to differentiate a little bit. But I do like your thought process there on the fact that, if I'm going to a group, the one awesome thing about groups is that, you basically let your barriers down and you're able to connect with the people versus, the business, the brand and whatnot, and it feels different than just connecting with the business and always being marketed to. So, I just, I wanted to highlight that to everybody. It may not be something that you are, interested in at the moment, but, if you are getting some, notifications and whatnot, and that happens to come up, that's why it's happening. So, you can go test it out in your own Facebook group, or you can go over to my Facebook group, join it, and, see how it works. So let me see what we got here. So, by the way,
cool. Well, later, Scott. See you later. Hope you can join us another time next week.
Thank you so much for joining, Scott. I had to look up your name there. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna keep rolling here, by the way, and I know we added a couple extra topics, but at any point, if you want to add something that we don't talk about, that we don't have on the list, just let me know. By the way, this next one I'm going to give to you because it's Snapchat's deal with Viacom. So tell us what's going on. What is this? How does it impact? One, how does it impact? Well, what is it? How does it impact the broader market? And then two, how is this going to impact somebody who, if you're a business on Snapchat and whatnot?
Well, this is potentially so basically here's what it is. Viacom and Snapchat are entering into this partnership where it appears that Viacom is going to run their advertising leg, if you will, and that'll allow the existing Snapchat peeps to focus on the app itself and on making the app better for the users. So, assuming this is all the case, and this is what's going to happen, being an avid Snapchatter right now and believer in it for the future, that's a really good sign. Will it have the effect that everyone thinks or that they even think? Not sure. I think it said in the article, it brought back some examples of when Facebook worked with Microsoft on a partnership a while back, and that was kind of viewed as a tipping point. And Google and what was it? Google and MySpace or something. There was some other partnership that came up, and it was it didn't really work out. Those ones, the Facebook Microsoft one, nothing really happened as a result, other than Microsoft did, and I'm sure they took advantage of the fact that they had now this access to Facebook's back end to a point, to the algorithm maybe. So it's big. It's big in the sense of the app does need to develop the monetization side of it, the advertising side of it. In marketers' viewpoints, I think they feel it needs to develop. In businesses' viewpoints, it needs to develop and get better on that side. But as a user, I like how the ads, if you want to even call them that, I mean, I guess they're ads, but the Discover section and the brands that pay to be placed at the top in Snapchat, for those of you that use it, you see it. I mean, I click on those. I click on the brand's content that's in that section on the top. it's interesting. Like they make content specifically for Snapchat that is fun to watch. It's, it's going to make sense for the brand. So that's why you see things like Vice, Brie and Co. and I don't know, name some others. It's those fun brand, Mashable, right? I mean, it's those fun brands that it makes sense. Their audience is on Snapchat, or the audience that they're trying to bring in more of, the millennials and the younger audience under 30, they're trying to bring in is on Snapchat. So if this is all what's happening in terms of the advertising side is going to Viacom, and they're going to manage that and have their sales force kind of work that. Great. Let's do things to make the app better. So, what are your thoughts?
I was reading up on the whole, the fact that, Facebook, for instance, they had something similar, and then they had, what was it? Google, I think, was mentioned, with MySpace, and how that stuff kind of didn't turn out too well. And it just, while I applaud the fact that they're doing this, it just makes me wonder, and this actually reminds me of an article I read yesterday, actually. But it makes me wonder if, the audience is really kind of just getting tired of ads and just being constantly marketed to and sold to, and because I think it makes sense, from for both of the parties involved. But I'm really wondering how much that's actually going to help the bottom line, because really, I mean, they can do all the partnerships they want, but if the consumers aren't buying, they're not interested in it and whatnot, it's not really going to go anywhere. So, I think it's a little too early to tell, obviously, because it's kind of new. But if history is any indication, I don't see this going anywhere. So, and I'm actually going to put a link.
So you're basing it on history, which is totally, I get it.
And on top of that, so here's the other thing. So I mentioned another article, and I'm going to actually link to this article because it's a really fascinating article. And actually, so who is this? Is this Chris? Let me see. Okay, so Captain Chris here. So he brought up a really good point. I believe so monetization via ads seems to be the go-to approach for platforms, but there's got to be a better way. Absolutely right. And if you read this article that I'm going to drop in here, it was published by a Mobile Marketing Watch. They talked about they gave some really good statistics, and it talked about social overall and how, according to Gallup, who does a survey, for example, let's see, 62% said that social media was not, social media. They're questioning basically whether it was powerful and persuasive marketing for many companies, as they hoped it would be. And they surveyed 18,000 consumers about the influence of social media on their buying decisions. 62% said they have no influence at all, even among millennials, whom companies often think of as the core social media audience. And 48% said these sites were not a factor in their decision making. And I mean, that's kind of like a real, in a way, slap in the face. You've got all these companies putting money into ads. And if you further read on, if you read on in the article further, Chris, they actually talk about the same thing about everybody's moving towards ads. They talk about Facebook and Twitter and other social networks, and how the ads really, it's they're awesome, but there has to be a better way with how they're doing things. So, there's a lot of really good points in there. That kind of, seem like they're very similar to your line of thinking. So that's my thought, Vincent. Yeah.
I want to, and as we move on, I want to also drop this question for Captain Chris, because for those of you that are in here right now, he's captain with Mountain View Police Department over in Silicon Valley, and is very tied in with the social media scene. And they do social media insanely well and use it as a tool for what they do with the police department. Twitter, I mean, the stuff that they've done, I've seen in the past, amazing stuff in connecting with the community, and even in real-time events. So let me ask you this question, Captain Chris, and we'll move on and into the next thing, but answer this if you can. Do you guys use Snapchat right now? And if you do, how do you use it? Because it would seem to be an audience there that you want to connect with in the younger crowd, the teens, millennials that you want to establish a good relationship with. Gotcha. Okay. So you looked into it. Is it something that that you're considering and you're just trying to figure out the best way to do it? Or are you shelving it for now? I'm curious. Gotcha. Legal issues to retain the records. So I guess is the fact that you can save pictures and videos and screenshot and things, is that not enough? He's typing really fast right now. I can feel it. I can hear it.
Well, so actually,
Christian, we can move on.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that was exactly what I was gonna say. As far as the law, not they can screenshot it all they want, but I think in most cases, probably depending on the jurisdiction, they're not able to bring that into evidence. For instance, am I right on that, Chris? Or partially right? Yeah, awesome. So let's see what else we have today, Vincent. I think we've got we've got two other quick things and then some tools. So we're going to switch. Okay, we've gone Instagram, we've gone Facebook, we've talked a little bit about Snapchat. Now we're going to move over to Twitter, and just a couple more things here. But Twitter is now, and actually, I'm going to bring this up because it's a new feature. It's a setting within your Twitter account. I don't have this yet. Did you have it yet, Vincent?
No, I haven't seen it come across my way yet, or other than the already existing.
Okay, so basically, what it is. So I'll tell everybody what it is, and then I want to hear, I want to hear your thoughts on, or Chris, or anyone else who's watching, if you think this is useful. And then two, I have a little bit of a story to share with this. That ties into this feature. And this, I think, is probably partly where the discussion probably may want to head. Okay, so basically what happened is Twitter is changing. They're basically giving you an option. Actually, you know what? By the way, I have this in my in my Twitter account now. But basically what it is I can go into my settings menu on my Twitter account, and under my content section, there's an option that says, show me the best tweets first. Basically, what's going to happen is when I check this, I hit save, and then when I log out or whatever, all that stuff is going to rise to the top based on what they think is most important for me. I didn't have it yesterday.
I do have it. I didn't even realize it.
That's pretty awesome.
I have it.
So pretty straightforward. It's a setting. You log in, log out, log back in, but basically you'll be able to. Basically, it's almost like bookmarking, telling them, hey, show me what's important at the top. So that's the new thing. Oh, you got it on there. Oh, I was on the desktop.
Turning it on. Turning it on.
Okay, so Chris isn't impressed with it. Who else do we have here? K Dizzle DC. They want to make sure that people see it. Great. Okay. Chris says, I think it would be more noticeable for people that don't check their feed as much. Absolutely. So, okay. So that's the new feature. Basically, it's to show you the most important tweets at the top when you log back in. Now, an interesting piece of news, I don't know if anybody saw this today, but it was like the London Transit Authority, I think it was. Do what?
No, I didn't see this. What is it?
Okay,
no, I didn't
this
see
feature just rolled out like a day or two ago, right? And apparently they have decided, so London's transport regulator, and I'm actually going to grab this article for everybody. Basically, what happened was they previously were using Twitter to post real-time updates. However, they are now saying that they're going to stop doing this because of this new feature. And I find that actually really interesting because it kind of plays off what Chris talked about here, which is, if you're addicted to Twitter, you're going to know where to go. You might have a list set up, for instance, specifically for certain things. You're not going to really worry about, well, hey, I got a box checked and I'm not going to see, the most important tweets coming. I'm not going to see if they're doing live updates, I'm not going to see them, in the right order. Well, I mean, one that says, hey, I should probably engage with those tweets or that particular account more often, which should probably show me more, of their tweets. What I guess my question for the audience, Vincent, like, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that like in this situation, do you think they're kind of jumping the gun a little bit too soon?
I kind of put this in the same category as the 10,000 character thing, because it seems with both, it's well, not with both. With this one, it's optional. Number one, they're not forcing it on you. It's a setting that you can turn on or off, and it's up to you. It's totally up to you. So a lot of people are making a kind of a big deal about this, or maybe we're just in the marketing vacuum, in the social media marketing vacuum, and everyone in our world is making a big deal out of this, which I think is probably more the case. But the same thing with the 10,000 character tweets. Like, that is another thing that it's not like you're going to start seeing humongous 10,000 character tweets in your feed. It's something that is, don't make a big deal of it, because it's not going to be, that's not what it's going to look like. Your feed's the tweets are going to look the same, and they're going to be like a see more type of thing, like you see on Facebook on a post when it's super long. So this kind of overreaction to stuff like this, you don't like it, just turn it off. Don't use it. You can still have the same experience. And I get that. I get that about the change. I know they don't like the idea of change, but don't change it. You don't have to change it. Like, it's just that typical, whenever Facebook makes a change, they force it on people and they roll it out. They force it on people generally, like there's nothing you can do about it. And so everybody complains and then it dies down. Every time there's something like that. With Twitter, it's just there.
Or they complain and then they start trying and then they're like, hey, this is actually better. Instead of that initial like backlash. But honestly, in this situation, I think the London Transport, I think they're actually jumping the gun on this. I don't think that they've kind of thought this through, because as Phoenix Tiers 321 here has mentioned, set up a list, and that it's really simple. And that's the thing. I think Twitter lists are underutilized. If you're a power Twitter user, like, do it.
Oh, definitely.
I think if you're a power user, Twitter, to use Twitter lists. That's the way that you manage them. But I think, this also kind of plays into, Twitter's announcement. Like, they had earnings this week, and, and they still, they talk about how their platform, they're losing users, but it's because they don't know how to use Twitter. And, and I talked about this, I think it was even last week, that, maybe it would be nice if when people signed up or new features get added or whatnot, they kind of, are giving me some information on this. So that, I can learn about the change, in a proper way, instead of just, learning about it down the road, or, not knowing, heck, if you just sign up for Twitter, most people don't even know how to set up a list. So it would be great to kind of see that, to have that happen. With that, by the way, we have time for one more update, Vincent, or we got one more update, right? Okay.
Yeah.
This topic 6, I think. Topic 6, topic 7. Not really sure. We got a lot of topics today. And actually, I'm gonna.
Well, the GIF button thing we already kind of talked about. There's really not much to that, other than the Twitter might be or is potentially adding the ability to post a GIF natively into a tweet right as you're doing the tweet. So,
not a whole lot to talk about there. And by the way, so I just have one last quick topic, and this is just more like an FYI. So if I'm a business page and I'm on, if I'm a business and I've got a Facebook page, Facebook has added in a new call to action button. You may see this on your Facebook page. If not, they were popping up a bubble basically to show you. But if you go to the call to action, you get a, by the way, Phoenix Tiers, yes, Twitter has not upped the character count to above 140 yet. They talked about it, but haven't seen it yet. But back to the topic. If you go to a Facebook page, you had call to action buttons where you could, have people sign up for a newsletter, contact you, download your app, that sort of stuff. They have now added a new one that says learn more. And basically, you add it just like any call to action. You just click on the button, say edit, and then you'll be able to link directly off to a website so people can learn more about your business. I would recommend, in a business setting, if you are trying to decide which one of these buttons to use on your Facebook page, test them out. If, for example, if you want people to opt into a newsletter, that's your goal, you should probably use the sign up button, but you should have a dedicated page where people can opt into your newsletter, whether it's, a form or taking them to something specific. In addition to that, If you don't have that, that's where the learn more button might be really handy. So you may want to consider doing that as well. But pretty straightforward. Go to your Facebook page, click the button that's on your cover photo. If you haven't set it up, they'll ask you to set it up, and then just select the learn more option. So
and it'll tell you, it'll direct you to that. It'll be obvious that that's an option. It's like a big blue box. It'll say, hey, go do this.
So let's quickly talk about 3 social media tools for the week. So tool number 1 is, this is actually an Instagram tool. And last week we talked.
This was crazy. Is this the Instagram?
This is the Instagram post from your computer app. Yes. And, and I will say this, there are a lot of different tools available on the market to let you post to Instagram from your computer. Some of them are, some of them work really well. Some of them don't. Some of them can compromise your account, that sort of stuff. So this looks like, this is actually a pretty good, it's a pretty good tool. You can only use it to post photos at the moment. You can't do videos. So that's where you may want to look at some other tools possibly. But the tool is called Grum, by the way.
Well, Christian, let me ask you this. So are you saying that this one may not be an issue if you use it for your account? Because Instagram is super finicky with what they allow to tie in and
absolutely, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because for example, a lot of people had talked. A number of years ago, there was a tool called Grambler, and for example, when that tool was out, it gave you the ability to upload to Instagram, but like you said, Instagram's very picky about how people build apps for their platform. And at one point, that tool was actually removing the ability to use hashtags on Instagram, which is a big issue because those are very important. And typically, if you do lose access, you can't really get it back. You have to try to get somebody to Instagram. That's pretty hard. So this tool, though, good tool. Spoken to a number of people, in my own circles, and they recommend it as well. So you may want to test that one out. As I mentioned, though, it does only let you post photos. You can't post videos. So for that, you may want to look at an alternative. We also, mentioned last week a tool called PicPlane. That was actually another Instagram tool, and that one actually was great because they help surface content for people talking about your brand. So you got, so you can use that tool. You can use Grum. 2 good tools for Instagram.
Yeah, this one looks great. It looks pretty easy to use, and I mean, people are always looking for something to use for Instagram. For brand managers are always trying to Latergram and all that. People have used, and it's usually only it'll send you an alert. It'll let you schedule it in Hootsuite, right? Hootsuite, I think, because I don't really use Hootsuite, I use Buffer more. Hootsuite lets you set it up, and it'll send you an alert when you're supposed to go and post
that's
it.
More of an API limitation.
Right? Yeah.
Some of the apps work specifically. It really comes down to they want you to be using a device. And actually, I wrote a very extensive article on different scheduling tools available for Instagram. And it was, and they actually, I think a number of the founders actually popped into the comments and kind of talked about their process a little bit, because some of them, they literally had a physical device that if somebody wanted to go post something, they went to the device and posted directly to it. So there were certain limitations on, on why that, why they do this. But in most cases, most of the tools, as you mentioned, they require you to basically just pop up a notification. Then you have to actually go to the Instagram account and post it. But the great thing is, now with this whole multiple account switching, pretty simple. Set up your one account on Instagram with all of the accounts you want to use the scheduling tool now, have it remind you. And then if you're on your mobile device, it'll pop up Instagram, you can, integrate all the accounts and whatnot, and then you'll be able to quickly post to those channels. So it won't do the posting for you in most cases, but it is pretty handy, I think, now. So let's see.
Well, that one's exciting for people that have the same job I do. I can't. I'm excited to use that.
And I'm,
What's the
tool,
next one?
tool number two,
Oh,
sorry. Tool number 2 is called Kick a Conference.
Another
Yep.
conferencing website
Well,
platform.
this was actually pretty, it's still sort of in beta. It was doing a little research on this one. We had a couple of friends recommend it to me, but basically, one of the biggest challenges with using any sort of tool for whether it's conference calls or, webinars or whatnot, is that one, they're either A, really expensive, or B, they're really hard to set up. And, often they require you to download, I don't know how many times I've downloaded like Citrix, the Citrix client or whatnot, just to install, GoToMeeting or one of those tools. So the benefit of this is basically you can start a conference with a URL. You get your own custom URL, you send it out to people, and they can join. And then you can quickly, you can mute everyone. So there's no more, hey, can everybody go on mute? You just do it yourself. And then 2, you can kick people out and whatnot if you're doing, a conference or a seminar and whatnot. So you can see who all is on versus, hey, somebody's got the passcode and whatnot. And you can't really see somebody with a typical conference call. So that's tool number 2. If I'm a business, and I'm looking to do webinars, if I'm looking to do webinars or I'm looking to do, any sort of, team conference. I mean, there's tons of tools out there, but I would recommend you experiment. Don't always just go with the ones that are, the most popular. For example, like you're doing webinars and you want to use go to webinar and whatnot. They're very, like I said, they're costly. They're limited on how many people you can have on there. So give some of the other tools a try, because I think you'll actually probably see that, they can actually deliver better value for you.
With this one, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
With this one, let me ask you this, Christian, because is it, do you know like what the limit is? How many people can be in a session?
They were trying to do it where there weren't any limits. Yeah.
Really?
So they were trying to do it where there weren't any limits, but again, sorry, I was reading comments here, but yeah, that's what their goal is. Their goal is to break down the barriers, and the stigma associated to webinars and, conference calls. So, I don't know. I mean, do we need another conference call, software? I don't know. There's a lot out there, but
it depends on what the value add is for it, right? I mean, what's going to make me use this one over some of these.
Absolutely. And for them, I mean, their tagline is simple, visual, free conference calling. So I think, they're trying to go with, the free model. I wouldn't be surprised though, if it was like a freemium type thing to where, maybe they would have a certain threshold and then, maybe it'll be a little higher than what most of the other companies are doing. And then they'll, maybe have you pay for something, or maybe there'll be ads or something on there. So that's tool 2. By the way, we have a question here with, let's see, Appearin. Have you used that one, Vincent?
I mean, I've heard about it a ton. I haven't used that one. I've typically stuck to Join Me and GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting, those WebEx, those types, the kind of tried and true ones, which I think Join Me is kind of in that realm now. But Appearin, I hear that. I hear that one a lot. I didn't realize it was only limited to that many people. But I think Appearin is actually more. See, I hear Appearin more in the conversation with Blab and Hangouts, where it's more that type, because there is that limit. It's more of like a social video conferencing connection type of tool. Whereas these other ones, it's more webinar-ish.
Absolutely. So thanks for sharing that, by the way. So, so Phoenix Tiers 321. What you mentioned? You'd like to mention a tool or utility for your Android phone. Feel free to put that in the discussion, and if we got a couple minutes here, we'll take the time to review it. So the last tool that I have for today, by the way, is actually called Quip, and this one is available for iOS, available for Mac, Not sure if it's available for Android. I'm not an Android user, but I will check for you guys real quick. What this does,
it seems like it's. I was gonna say it seems like Quip is in the Slack world.
yeah. Okay, so there is an Android version as well. I'll put that here in the chat with everybody. But yeah, that's what it did remind me of. It is kind of fascinating, though. I mean, it was featured as MIT Technology Reviews 10 Breakthrough Technologies. Apparently, it makes it really easy to share documents and spreadsheets, and perfectly designed for mobile. I did find it neat that you could share to-do lists, which is pretty fascinating. I mean, because most of the time, I mean, I know you can do that with like Evernote and things like that, but it looked like it was very promising. You'd also have chat tied in, and apparently full featured spreadsheets, which I'm wondering. Hopefully, that's not the only awesome feature, But yeah, so that's the tool. It also works on Apple Watch, which is kind of neat. So you can check off your to-do list and whatnot directly from your watch, which I think you kind of need that nowadays because people are moving into a lot more wearables. But that's the third tool for today. Called.
Yeah, it's that one. So Quip, I want to say back in 2012, they were just like in beta or just like starting out, maybe 2013, and I used it a little bit. I'm sure it's nothing like it is now, and it was just like it was fine. I just didn't have a need for it for that type of functionality and that type of tool right then. So, but I remember using it, and I forget what the guy. Maybe you've heard this. The guy that started Quip, he came from somewhere else big, and I can't remember where. But I mean, a Google search would find that out. But it made sense where he came from. And now, like, I mean, there's all this other stuff. Just looking at it and looking at the review, the description and everything, it reminds me. It does remind me of Slack. So it seems like it's maybe just more of a. Brett Taylor. He was formerly the CTO of Facebook.
Google Maps.
Yeah. Yeah. He was CTO of Facebook and Google Maps. He was there. But yeah, it was around that time when that was just starting.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Brian Fanzo, of course, he got connected with that guy through Twitter with Brett Taylor and started using it, and he turned me onto it, and it was definitely more in his world than mine at the moment. Now I use Slack, so it feels like it is more of like a timing thing. Like if you're not using any of those types of platforms, they'll have a chance with you because you're not dedicated to one. But once the thing is with these, Christian, tell me what you think about this. If you're on Slack and you have these groups set up on Slack, you're not going to leave. Like you have all this stuff, this time, and everything's all set up. Like I'm not going to just Quip looks awesome. Maybe I'll use something else, like add like a new group I'll put on there, but I'm not going to move everything over.
So this is actually a really fascinating conversation because I don't think it just applies to like Slack and Quip and Google Docs and Google Drive and whatnot. People sharing information there. I even see the same thing happening with Evernote. For example, I use Evernote a lot, but recently, for anybody who's been following, kind of what's been going on with Evernote, they've been really consolidating. They've gotten rid of they've stopped updating a lot of their apps. For example, I think they're getting rid of Sketch. So if you have that or you haven't downloaded it, download it. They're getting rid of that. They've gotten rid of a lot of their, they used to sell a lot of things through their site, whether it was, Evernote products like notebooks and things like that, and printers, and whatnot, things that can really help make you better organized. They've gotten rid of a lot of that. And the point I'm getting at is that they're getting to a point now where it really, in a way, it freaks me out a little bit because if everybody's been talking about how great Evernote is, but they're getting to a point now where it makes you wonder what the direction is going to be. And there's no way to get your notes out that I'm aware of. Right. Right. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, but there's really no convenient way to get something out. So, you can export notes and things like that. But I mean, imagine if you've got, 40,000 notes or whatever, in Evernote. Um,
Yeah. Well, and it goes, it's the same thing with, I mean, if you want to take it on the bigger scale with Facebook, right? When people say, I'm leaving Facebook, I'm deleting my Facebook, like, first of all, they never do. They may leave. They may not check the app or take the app off their phone and not be on it as much, but they don't delete their personal profile. That if they've been using it, like, I don't see how I could ever delete my personal profile except for if I do that option to download all my data from Facebook and then do it. And I can't even imagine what 6 or 7 years of my Facebook data, pictures, video, whatever else is included in that, what that would even look like. Like, what kind of file would that be that comes on my computer? How big would that thing be? And people do print the book. Yeah, I printed a book off Facebook before, and it was,
or was it Facebook or was it
images.
Twitter? There was an option. I know Twitter had this.
Facebook has it too. There's a third party company that, I mean, unless Phoenix Tears might be talking about something else, but I see an ad all the time for like print your Facebook book. I do see that, and my wife is always like, oh, I want to get that, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess, we can try it, but I don't know how big it would be. I'm sure you can select the content that you want to be in it, but even that is time consuming. But can you imagine, like, if you go to, I'm deleting my Facebook profile, and I'm going to download my data file from Facebook because I want that content. What the heck does that even look like?
That is, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I know how hard it is nowadays. I mean, just to get, something from a few years. I mean, it's just, we're adding more and more stuff, and at some point, there needs to be some sort of export tool. Let me rephrase that. Not just an export tool, because for instance, Evernote lets you export, but then it gives you like an Evernote compatible file, which then you can't import it into anything. So, if they're going to give you something, it needs to be, something that's standard. And I would actually hope, I don't think this will be the case, but I'd love to, if they let me export, give me the full resolution versions of everything, so that, I can, so that I can have like the originals, kind of like what Google does a lot with things. So, but so with that, by the way, I don't know, do you have anything else you want to share for the week?
No, we're at our hour.
So I want to wrap things up and just tell everybody, thank you so much for joining this week's episode of Social Chatter. My name is Christian Kirsevich. If you want to join next week's show, or you want to go ahead and subscribe so that you know about it, here's a link to it. Let me see.
I'll put
just make sure. Okay. So
I'll put the Blab group up there.
So what we've got in there is we've got next week's show. So that way, if you want to be, make sure you don't forget, go ahead and subscribe. In addition to that, as Vincent mentioned, he's got a Facebook group. It's Blabaholics. How many members do you have there, Vincent?
It's up over 1,100 now. And it's only 6 months old. I mean, it seems like a good thing. People go in and one of the things that we do every day is I'll post like a post where people can put their show links. But really, the idea of the group is more to talk about the platform, like and keep up with what's happening. All the Blab brain trust is in there, the Blabinet, as I like to call it. Sean and Furkan and all the leaders, and they respond a lot of times to things. So I post things from them. So it's a good place if you're into Blab, if you're curious about it and you want to stay up to date on the news about it. It's a good place to.
And the last piece, I guess, of information that I just wanted to share with everybody was, you either can subscribe to the show, or if you want to get notified about some of the topics that we're going to talk about, and also get a link to basically the recap of all this, which basically is, a written blog post along with the video and whatnot. You can text Social Chatter to 33444. Basically what that's going to do is it'll put you on the email list, and and I'll send you an email a few hours before the show to let you know what all is going on, so that you can review the topics and and then join. So with that, by the way, I want to tell everybody, I hope everybody has a great weekend. And And then I'm really, I'm excited. I'm glad that everybody joined. And, if you have any questions or anything at any time, you can send, a tweet at CKROKS, at Social Chefs, at Vincent Orlick, or hashtag Social Chatter. And we will make sure that we're, available to answer questions and whatnot. So.
Can I do one more check of the video from Instagram? I think I'm doing it right. I'm going into the comments section on the post, and it doesn't show the video.
I think actually you had to go to the. I think you actually had to go to the video and you had to swipe. Did you try that? Let me see. So if you watch the animated GIF that's on there, they basically, let's see. So they take their finger and I guess they tapped on the comments. They tapped on the number of views.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if I tap on the comments down, right?
Have a comment,
and then the comments
right above. If you go back, you should have underneath the video. There should be something that says X amount of views, and you just tap on that. So you may not have it yet. They don't mention the version yet, but
I don't have it. Anyway,
I think that's pretty good news for this week.
Dang.
So with that, I want to tell everybody thank you so much for joining us. Vincent, it's been a pleasure, and we will see everyone next week.
See you next week.
Later,
guys.